Hello, welcome to the Film Pulse podcast. This is episode number 284. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. How are you, Kevin?
Doing pretty good.
All right, this week on the show, we'll be talking about Steven Soderbergh's Unsane, along with someone we're watching on the watch list, and previewing some new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Before we dive into our review, however, I want to get into some housekeeping stuff. Our third Film Pulse Selects entry is up now on the site. This week we are highlighting Shut Up Anthony, which is a film by Kyle Eaton. It's a feature-length comedy. Definitely recommend checking it out if you're a fan of awkward comedy, as I am. Very dry, very awkward. Kevin, I think you would like it.
I'm gonna have to give it a look.
Yeah,
I have to.
You have to. You have to. I think you are obliged to take a look.
Yes, correct.
In fact, I think that it's sad that you haven't taken a look yet.
Not yet. I'm getting there. I'm working through them.
We do have a lot of films that are going to be coming out on Film Pulse Selects and a lot to go through. So keep an eye out. You can go to our main site at filmpulse.net to watch it. You can go to filmpulseselects.com and give it a watch there. You can check out our Vimeo page as well, our channel on Vimeo. This film will be available all this month, so the entire month of April it will be available. So make sure you give it a look before the end of the month, because this is a limited run film.
Gotcha.
Second thing, if you haven't signed up for our monthly newsletter yet, please do so, because we are about to be launching our second issue of that. If you're not familiar, our newsletter just kind of goes over everything that sort of summarizes the month. It highlights new releases that are going to be out on VOD. It takes a look at our podcast for the previous month if you missed any episodes. It has we do a monthly giveaway, so we do a Blu-ray giveaway. This month I'll give you a little sneak peek. It's going to be the Burbs.
Oh, nice.
And we got some other fun stuff in there. Also, we highlight we sort of preview what's coming up for Film Pulse Select. So if you want to see what's on the horizon there, be sure to sign up for the newsletter. And for as far as the giveaways go, only newsletter subscribers and patrons get access to that. They can only be eligible for the giveaway if you're signed up for one or both of those. So make sure you do that. The last thing that I'll mention this week, no Ryan watches a movie. Ryan was way too busy this week active Ryan was too busy to do an episode this week. So unfortunately, there will be no Ryan watches a movie. I want to be better. That's one thing that I feel like I've really not been good at is communicating when we need to not have an episode. And I really want to start being better at that for you guys. So that's something that I'm Well, and apparently now he's got like a kill list of some sort that he's doing.
He was apparently Kills on Wheels has inspired Ryan to be far more active than what he used to be.
Yes.
And he's dabbling in so many things now.
Yeah. Good for him.
It is, truly.
All right, let's dive into our review this week. We're talking about Unsane. This is directed by Steven Soderbergh. I have a synopsis here. A young woman is involuntarily committed to a mental institution where she's confronted by her greatest fear. But is it real or a product of her delusion? Stars Claire Foy. Jay Farrow's in there. I didn't know he was in this.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, that was really surprising when I was going through the credits at the beginning.
Yeah.
So he's like third build.
Yeah. Juno Temple. Not a lot of huge names in this, and he does play a pretty big role.
Yeah.
He's like one of the biggest.
Prominent role.
So, yeah. All right. I guess I'll start it off with Unsane. I didn't like Unsane. I was not a fan of Unsane.
Moving on.
Getting right.
What's up next?
Yeah, getting right to the point. So this is shot on I guess it's an iPhone. Is it an iPhone? I know it's a phone.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure it's an iPhone.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was specifically an iPhone or some kind of other phone. It does not, you see a movie like Tangerine, which is shot on an iPhone. And to me, that movie looks gorgeous. Like, that movie just looks so incredible. This movie, I think, looks horrible for the most part. Now, there is a little bit of a caveat with that. I do like a lot of the framing choices that he made. I like that he was like, okay, we're using an iPhone. This is super small camera, super portable. We can just have fun with it. We can put it in places that, most rigs cannot go, like on desks and things like that. So a lot of the camera angles and the framing I thought were good, especially because it aided in sort of the paranoia of the film. It sort of had everything was at off angles and pulled in very close, and almost had like an American Horror Story vibe, how they always like to do like those sort of corner angle shots and things like that. And I liked that, but the overall look I thought was not great. Like, I just was not into it, especially during some of like the action, quote unquote, action scenes and stuff like that. I thought it just didn't look very good.
Well, and I think one of the main detriments to it is, like, it starts off looking so terrible. Like, you just get off on the wrong foot with this movie.
Right.
Because in the beginning, it looks awful. And it almost feels like that. There's a part of me that thinks that was done on purpose, because it seemed like both of the bookends of this movie have kind of like the same look, the same style.
Yeah.
And it's really bad.
It's so awful.
But like the stuff in between, in the middle, when she's in the institution, all that stuff I thought looked pretty great. It was just the stuff outside of that. Like I said, the two bookends, especially the end, just looked really awful.
Well, also they included that absolutely horrible music with the beginning and end. What the and it felt like, I mean, that seemed like it was like royalty free music that he just grabbed off of a website.
That's what I mean. Like, it had to be intentional, because to me those bookends felt so unbelievably student film-esque, like a high school student film. Like, it was that awful.
Yeah.
And that's not, like, Soderbergh doesn't do that.
I don't know.
To me, Soderbergh is like
it's odd.
To me, Soderbergh is like consistently like above average good. Which is to say, I don't think I've ever hated a Soderbergh movie. I mean, there's been some stuff that's like slightly hit and miss, but I've never like truly hated something of his.
Nor have I. And I don't hate this movie, just to be clear. I just wasn't a very big fan of it, and we'll get into more reasons. But what were your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts, like I said, it kind of got off on the wrong foot, where I was like, oh boy. Because one, I didn't know anything about this. Two, the only thing that I did know was the iPhone thing, that it was shot on an iPhone, which, like you said, Tangerine looks great. Another movie from last year, Sleep Has Her House, that's a movie that was shot entirely on an iPhone, and I have no idea how, because it doesn't look like it at all. And this movie looks very much like it was shot on an iPhone. So, like, right off the bat, you're just like, everything in her office setting, like just the staging of it, the interactions, everything is just extremely awkward in a bad way, where it's just like that. Like I said, it's like a student film. But I think once it gets to the institution, once things start once the ball starts getting rolling. I thought it was, I enjoyed it. To me, it was just like a pretty well done, almost like a B thriller type deal.
Yeah, it's definitely a paranoid thriller.
Which, to go back to the synopsis, one, she's not involuntarily
Right.
committed. Like, that's pretty, like, that's not even, like, debatable. That's just straight
Well, the other
out.
thing isn't debatable either. Like, they let...
Yeah.
I like this...
That, which
this may be a spoiler, but I think it is... I think it's important to know going into it that they let you know almost immediately. Like, as soon as she sees the guy in the institution, there's something that it seems very clear. Like, this is not a delusion.
No. And I mean, they hold off on it just a little bit. But I don't think he ever fully commits to this being like some sort of plot twist.
Yeah.
The way in which it's handled. I mean, because I think we discussed this the last time we had the podcast and we were talking about this movie. We're both kind of concerned that it's going to be one of those, is she or isn't she? You know? And kind of going into it, that was my main concern. I was like, like you said, I'm kind of tired of these movies where, you know, is she insane? Is she not insane? Like, is it all in her head? Which, I mean, pretty early on, it is, you know that it's not that.
Right. We know that she has this sort of, she has this trauma. Like, that's present. She has, I don't know if it would be PTSD or just some sort of other issue
of that?
because of what happened in her past. So that's present, but it's never a question of whether or not he's there. Right at the beginning, when he first shows up, you're like, oh man, is that... But they quickly do something in the film. I'm not going to say what, but they do something that shows us he's definitely there. And the rest of the movie is her trying to convince the other people in the institution that he's the guy who she says he is, whereas they think that he's this other guy. So it's not about whether or not he's there. It's about her convincing everyone else that this is the same guy that was stalking her. And I thought, for me, I found it frustrating. I find these movies frustrating, and I was frustrated with this movie too, mainly because of the actions of Claire Foy's character of Sawyer. It, like, she's this, you know, no nonsense, no bullshit type of person. She's very frank with everyone. She doesn't put up with anybody's shit. And the problem is, like, she's also a very smart person, but she makes some of the dumbest decisions in this movie. Like, she's like picking fights with people and being really aggressive with people. And it's like, why would you do that when you're in this situation that you know you have to be on your best behavior to get out of here? So why do you keep losing your shit and lashing out and causing problems?
I did that was one aspect of this movie that did bother me a little bit. It's kind of her, which, I mean, she does, like, she continually panics towards the beginning. And you're right, like, why are you doing this? But it's also, I don't know if that was kind of a touching upon her, like, entitlement that she has, where she's just like, you know, this is a mistake. Obviously, everyone in the world, you know, that can be contacted through this needs to drop what they're doing and help me because I'm important. These other people are not. Because that was the one thing that I did kind of like about this, is where she's not really likable.
No,
she does,
and they established that very early on too.
Yeah, and there comes a certain point in this where she just full on becomes, she essentially just really selfish in that she's just gonna use people in order to get out of this situation. Like, if there's collateral damage, there's collateral damage. It's all about her. She needs to get out, and that's what she does.
Yeah.
But I was kind of surprised where it went with it kept escalating, which I don't think I was 100% prepared for. I didn't think it was going to escalate as much as it did.
No, I didn't either. And I do appreciate that, but I still didn't find it to be enough to really grab me in any way.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that I did kind of appreciate is, like I said early on with her situation, how the way that it's handled, it's not really handled as this, like, that there's going to be this big reveal or this plot twist, or, and once that's kind of taken off the table, it's just a pretty straightforward thriller.
Yeah.
Which I kind of appreciated. Whereas, like, okay, this isn't going to be some twisty bullshit.
Yeah. There's a
just, this is what it is, and this is what we're doing.
There's sort of one twist they throw in towards the end, which I actually liked. I'm not going to say what it was, but it involved another character, and I liked that twist. But I also liked what they did with... I didn't expect it to be about how, like, these institutions work and how they're just constantly gaming the system to bleed insurance companies. I thought that was sort of an interesting element
that
to
was
it
very
as well.
Interesting. Which is the, one thing to learn is when they ask you those questions, always lie and just say no.
Yeah. And
just lie.
And for
no.
God's sake, read anything that you sign.
Mm-hmm. That's why I love when you go to the doctor and it's like, have you ever had suicidal thoughts? Nope, never. Not once in my entire life. I'm not telling you that shit. Are you kidding me? Don't ever do it. Keep that shit to yourself.
The scariest thing is I'm sure that this is something that's probably happened to people before.
Oh, definitely. It's so easy. It's so easy for them to do this.
Yeah, if they feel like
you said, you can just because they always have the upper hand. And, who's a more credible person? Is it a bunch of medical professionals? Or is it this person that just voluntarily committed themselves?
Yep. And
then you always have that in the back pocket, is, because obviously most of the time those people are going to panic, get frustrated, and get kind of aggressive. And then you can just use that and be like, well, that's another 4 days.
Mm-hmm. Definitely an aspect of it I didn't expect. And I did appreciate that. But I still was not very entertained by it overall. I just was not into the movie overall.
I mean, it didn't wow me or anything. But I enjoyed myself, I gotta say. I was pretty well entertained. I especially thought that there's a kind of this culminating confrontation with Claire Foy and Joshua Leonard that I thought was just absolutely fantastic. Like, her acting and the way that the way it was filmed and everything. I thought that particular scene was pretty great.
I do appreciate the relationship that those two had, where even though she was scared of him, he was stalking her, she still did not give him any leeway when it came to, like, confrontation. Like, she was very vocal about her feelings towards him, right to his face, all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
he still didn't get it.
Yeah.
Still didn't get it.
Well, that's how stalkers work.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts? Unsane?
I really enjoyed the freeze frame.
The one at the end?
Yeah. No, the one that was like 25 minutes in. Yeah, the one at the end.
I couldn't remember if there was any other ones or not. I thought the freeze frame was fine, but I thought that the music that accompanied it was absolutely atrocious, and I feel like that ruined the freeze frame.
I think it reminded me a lot of like just like a really, really great version of all the movies that I had to watch on Lifetime growing up with my mom. It was like Soderbergh doing that.
Yeah.
Which to me worked.
I guess it's sort of like that, but yeah, it just didn't really gel with me.
I just like the one thing that I thought was a bit too much, like he got a little bit out of hand with the iPhones, is like in the beginning at work where, you know, it's two people talking and he would cycle through like 7 different camera angles.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, this is like a 1-minute conversation.
Yeah, you got a little crazy with the cuts.
Like, we don't need an overhead and then over the shoulder and then from the desk and then from behind. It's like, let's keep it. I did enjoy like the stuff that towards the beginning there was I kind of tipped the hand a little bit of with the like the voyeur shots.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But it was a bit meh for me. All right, let's give this thing a score. Unsane, I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
I give it a 6. Another thing I really didn't like was Juno Temple's character.
Yeah, she was pretty.
This is ridiculous.
A little abrasive, that character. I just was not. Yeah, she was a little over the top.
Like, yeah.
I mean, it's
Just
the type of
much.
character that I think suits her, but yeah.
Thank you.
All right. I heard you had a little bit of a theater kerfuffle.
Yeah. The theater going experience is awful. I'm finding time and time again. Just going to the theater is terrible. I usually try and go like the earliest possible. That way there's like 2 other people there. This time was, midday. So unfortunately there was like 8 or 9 people in there. But still, there was an old lady right in front of me that, and I don't understand this with elderly people. Anything that happened, any bit of plot point that came up, her reaction would be, that to everything. Every single thing. She probably did it 55 times throughout the entire movie. And then there's a certain point that something happens to Claire Foy, like pretty quickly, and then it cuts to the next thing, and she just goes, "Was that him?" Like, who else would it be? And then her friend, when Matt Damon showed up, leaned over and just loudly said, "That's Matt Damon." She goes, "Oh." And then one row in front of her is, and now this is the first time I've ever had problems with quote unquote millennials. A couple sit with so these are big recliners, a recliner in between the 2 of them, and they full on had conversations throughout the entire film.
Oh God!
Just chit chat, just talking, not about the movie, just catching up, I guess, loudly. Like, I could hear them and not the movie. Like, what the fuck is the point?
My theater only had about 5 other people in it. And did this just come out up there? Over there, I mean?
I think so. I think
it's been out for like 3 weeks here.
Of course it has.
And so there was like nobody. When I bought the tickets, I was the first one, like, because it's reserved seating, so you can see like the little chart.
Yeah.
And I was the only one. And I was like, all right, here we go. I went to see it by myself, by the way, which was, I recommend seeing movies by yourself. A lot of people don't like it. And I think that if you once you get over the idea that it's weird, because it's not really it's not weird. Once you do it a couple times, you become used to it and you kind of like it. And I would recommend that everyone go see movies by themselves every once in a while, not all the time.
I was at the point of walking out. I was just like, I'm not gonna do this. I guess it's just like through the first like 10 minutes of movie, she's just talking and talking and talking.
Oh, I probably would have went out and got an usher, said like, look, these assholes, they're ruining the movie.
They don't do anything now. They're just like, oh, okay.
Oh.
Because it was the same thing. I got there early. We were the only ones. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. No one's coming to see a Soderbergh movie. No one ever comes to see Soderbergh movies. And then it kept filling up. So like that, yeah, like for us, like in this area, Soderbergh movie, to have 9 people in there, like that's jam-packed.
That is a full success.
That's a full house, man. That almost ensures that we'll get the next Soderbergh movie.
Nice. It's interesting you did get this one since it's one of his small ones.
I was kind of surprised.
All right, that's Unsane playing in theaters right now. Odds are if you go, the theater's not going to be very full and possibly contain talking millennials.
That's a problem. It doesn't matter how many people in there. You're still the odds of having assholes is still high, no matter how many people.
Yeah.
Stream everything. Fucking ridiculous. Everything.
I still like the theater experience, but
I do too, because at least I don't have the buffering problem that makes me want to smash my computer.
I don't really have that issue, but I also am very fortunate enough to get to go see like press screenings and things where people are usually very respectful. Let's move on and talk about someone we've been watching on the watch list, shall we? I can't remember who started last time since we took last week off. I think you started last time, maybe.
I think so.
So let's see. I saw a bunch of stuff. Where do I want to start? I'll start with Revenge. This is screening at What the Fest. That is happening in New York this week. I talked about it last time on the show, and I really couldn't talk about any of the movies as of yet, but many of them have screened, so I can talk about them now. This movie actually comes out in May, so it's like May 8th, I want to say, somewhere around there. This will be out. Shudder is putting it out. So this, okay. I can tell you right now, this is the best movie that Shudder has ever put out. I don't know if it's going to be on Shudder or it's going into theaters first and then go into Shudder, or what the release situation is with that just yet. But this is directed by Coralie Farge. Probably mispronouncing that. She's a French director. This is her debut, and Revenge is sort of a throwback to the rape revenge subgenre of horror films. Not a big fan of that subgenre, to be honest with you. There were, this is like I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left, those types of movies. I just don't like watching sexual assault on screen. Like, it is just something I would like to avoid at all costs. But this movie does it's like the ultimate rape revenge movie. It in my opinion, it puts all of those others to shame. Like, this is the one to watch. It is so masterfully done. I absolutely loved this movie. It's a sort of French English hybrid where a lot of the movie is in French, but a lot of it is also in English. The lead, Matilda Lutz, plays an American girl who goes to this cabin. She's having an affair with this sort of rich French business guy, and she goes with him to his cabin in Morocco, I believe, for a weekend, and he is getting ready to go on a hunting trip with his two buddies, and awful things happen to her. She's left for dead. She comes back and she's like, fuck these guys. I'm going to kill every single one of them. And it is, in my opinion, it is a must see. It's hard to watch at times, but it is so excellent. I can't recommend it highly enough. It's called Revenge. I have a review up on the site right now for it. But yes, definitely watch it when you can.
Okay.
Even you, I think, would see it and be like, okay, this is something that is kind of special.
All right, I'm gonna have to give this a look. I think we can go that probably the furthest opposite that we can get, and that's William Wyler's Dodsworth from 1936. This is it's based on a Sinclair Lewis novel. So it's about this American automobile tycoon who he retires and he wants to go to Europe with his wife. His wife always wanted to go to Europe, and they're going to travel Europe. And he's got this new lease on life that he wants to learn things, and he just wants to enjoy himself and wants to make his wife happy. And it's just, he's so much excitement for him. He sold off his giant automobile factory, and he's just going to live it up. And things quickly go south in Europe, and it's quite interesting in that it's about like 100 minutes runtime, but it is able to cover so much ground within this marriage, where everything seems to be going well, everything's going great, everyone's happy. There's just like this new pep in his step and everything, and then the marriage is falling apart, and then it's back together, and then it's falling apart, and it's just, it seems like so much time has passed when you know throughout this entire movie, and it's such this like long journey, and it's really it's pretty complicated, which is great. It's pretty nuanced. The direction is pretty spectacular. Do some interesting things. And I gotta say, this is 2 William Wyler movies now, and both have just been, for me, it's just been absolutely amazing. The only weird thing about this movie is the tycoon guy, the guy at the center, Mr. Dodsworth, played by Walter Houston, is his voice really sounded like Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries. And I had it's not his fault. It's not the movie's fault. But I just had a really tough time getting past that. Because
it probably give me nightmares.
I just kept, it gave the movie this like weird, sinister undertone to it, where I just kept expecting something bad to happen. And there's always this like tension between the two, between him and his wife. His wife is played by Ruth Chatterton. And there's always this tension between the two of them, because there's outside interests with, people that they're flirting with, and, it seems like they're losing interest in each other, and, within a matter of moments, they could easily be cheating on one another, and it's pretty great.
All right. And that's Dodsworth from 1936. I saw Ready Player One.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this is the if you're not familiar with this one, it's the Steven Spielberg film.
Oh yeah. I heard a little bit about
this. Yeah, so the trailers for this one, I think we even talked about it on the show. Trailers were not doing it for me. I did read the book. The trailers were just like, oh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be a train wreck. I am not looking forward to this. I really enjoyed the book, and I feel like this movie version is not going to do it. But I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed Ready Player One. I had a blast with this movie. Now, It is, if you're familiar with the book, it's about it takes place in the future where everybody sort of lives in this VR world called the Oasis, and it's like an adventure. So the creator of this Oasis, before he died, he announces that he put an Easter egg somewhere in this vast virtual world, and the only way that you can get access is if you get these keys, and you have to sort of solve these puzzles and these riddles and play these games to be able to discover these keys. The keys are also hidden throughout the world, and it's about this kid who figures out how to get the first key, and that sort of snowballs into this race to find all the keys and unlock this Easter egg. If you unlock it, then the entire company gets signed over to the person that finds it, and they get full control over this massive corporation and full control over the Oasis itself, and they get to decide what happens with it. So the thing about it is, like, the creator of the Oasis he absolutely loved 80s nostalgia, like anything pop culture. He was just like a pop culture hound. So because of that, when you go into the Oasis, everything is like pop culture overload. And one of the questions I had going into the movie was, like, how much of this can they put into the movie? Because in the book, it's like, it's so loaded with references and things like that you're like, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to do all this. Like, it's so much. And what they do in the movie, it's different. Like, they added a lot of references. They took out some, but I will say that it is absolutely packed with things. And I'm not going to reveal what any of those are, because I think that that's sort of the most fun aspect of the movie, where they'll be in some kind of big set piece, and like all of a sudden this character shows up or this thing shows up, and you're just like, what the? And it's just so exciting. And anybody that's into pop culture or likes that nostalgia feel, like, this is the ultimate nostalgia movie. And I can't, like, some movies, movies that take place in the 80s, or now like TV shows like that Everything Sucks show on Netflix, they sort of revel in the nostalgia, and they sort of bank on it. Like, that's their crutch. That's what holds up the show or the movie, is that nostalgia. And I don't think that you can fault this movie for doing that, because that's sort of the whole point of it. You know what I mean? It's like, this is supposed to be nostalgia overload. It's supposed to be celebrating these pop culture icons and things like that. And so I don't know if anybody has that complaint with this movie, but I totally bought into it. I was just, I felt like a kid again watching this movie, and it definitely, Spielberg, I feel like he has definitely pulled away from the early Amblin days, like the ETs and whatnot. And this definitely harkens back to that. It has that same vibe where you have a group of kids going on an adventure, and it gives you a very warm feeling to come back to that style of movie, because I feel like we don't get that many of them anymore. And some of the references alone are just so much fun and so clever, and I loved how they incorporated them. Some things, like some characters, they just show up for like one scene. They'll be like in one scene, you'll just be like, oh, I just saw, this thing. I'll give you one thing, because it doesn't affect the plot or anything. It's just more of like a throwaway thing that you can see. But the Battletoads are in this. Just to give you an idea, they do some deep cuts in this, and you see the Battletoads.
Yes.
And So when you see that, you're just like, oh my God, they just had like the Battletoads were in this movie. It's just so much fun. But
now I'm wondering. I have one question. Does Toe Jam and Earl show up at all?
not that I know of, but
it seems like a really good opportunity to just have them sitting in a hot tub.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the background.
They might be. Like there's
where it just says chitter chitter.
There are a lot of scenes that have like hundreds of characters, and I'm sure that people are already like going to see the movie multiple times and writing down all of the stuff. But there's like literally hundreds of characters that you can see.
Just wait until you get to the point where you're able to screenshot.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's definitely going to be articles that'll be like every single cameo in Ready Player One,
ranked.
Yeah, ranked
90-1.
There's some really really fun stuff. I mean, you know that the Iron Giant's in it. They had that in the trailers and stuff, and it's great to see him come back. One of the interesting things, like the book was pretty much just 80s stuff. So you had, you know, your Back to the Futures and your Star Wars and Atari games and things like that. In the movie, it doesn't really focus on the 80s. There certainly is 80s stuff in there, but it sort of runs the gamut. You have a lot of 90s nostalgia in there as well.
I was gonna say, it sounds like there's probably a lot of 90s stuff in there.
Yeah, and even you have stuff into like the 2000s that plays a role, especially a lot of like video game references from the 2000s. But there are several horror references that now in the trailer you can see that Freddy is in it, but there are several others. There's like 4 others that are awesome. And there's one scene that it's sort of like it's like a whole dedicated scene. It's a whole sequence in this movie that's dedicated to something, and that was a huge surprise. It wasn't in the book, and it was absolutely incredible. It was probably one of my favorite moments in the whole movie. So I highly recommend checking out Ready Player One. Huge surprise. You'll have so much fun with it.
Another new director's new films title, would that opened? When did that?
I think that was this weekend.
Series
started on
this weekend.
I think that started on the 28th, I think.
Okay, yeah, you're right. 28th. Called Djon África. This is kind of one of those like docu-fiction hybrid type deals, but not how you're kind of used to it. This is more so there's a guy at the center, Miguel, he's never met his father. He's a really laid back guy, and just one day when a stranger just stops him on the street and says, you know, you look exactly like someone, look exactly like who he thinks is his father. So he starts asking some questions, and like for the first time, really, he kind of decides to set out to find his father that he's never knew. And so the only information that he really finds out is that he lives on Cape Verde, which is like off the coast of Africa, a little island nation, that he's kind of been banished there because he went to prison earlier in his life. Never got to meet his dad, so he decides that he's going to go to Cape Verde to try and find his dad. In the process, finds himself too. You know what I'm saying? How you always kind of find yourself on a journey.
Yes.
But the interesting thing about this is it almost becomes this like travelogue documentary type where he goes to Cape Verde, and essentially Cape Verde becomes like, it's kind of cliched to say, but Cape Verde essentially becomes the main character. So it's just him kind of doing day-to-day stuff, interacting with people, drinking, partying, having fun. And it kind of focuses a lot on like the culture of Cape Verde, and him like trying to find his father is just kind of like in the background of that. So it's almost like a travel show, like where he's the host, you know. And I can say one thing is Cape Verde it looks incredible and amazing. Just absolutely beautiful. Like, I mean, this works so well as like a tourism video for Cape
I
Verde.
love movies like that. I really do.
It's something else. And then he kind of it goes on this tangent where he decides he's not sure if he wants to go back home or if he wants to stay in Cape Verde. He doesn't really know what to do. He's kind of lost. He's just kind of aimless. And he ends up spending time at this elderly woman's farm where he kind of gets hired on as a helping hand. So it's this guy that's kind of just used to drinking and smoking weed and not really doing anything. Now all of a sudden is trying to take care of livestock and do all this farm work. And it's pretty great the way that it's kind of set up. It's real, it's really small stakes, but quite an enjoyable watch.
There was a film I saw a few years ago called Copenhagen that sounds like it was sort of a similar thing. It was more of a love story, but very much like a travel, like highlighting the area.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like those movies where somebody just gets lost in the city and finds different things. And
yeah, well, number one, it's really enjoyable from that sense of like a travelogue type deal. But also the guy at the center, Miguel, like he's the fun guy to just hang out with for, an hour and a half.
Sounds good. So that's screening at New Directors, New Films. That's a festival. That's like an indie film festival that's happening right now in New York. I think it's happening all next week as well, or this week rather, all this week as well. I'm not sure when that ends.
I think it's the April 8th.
Okay. Yeah, you'll see some reviews up on the site from some of the stuff that we saw there coming up. So stay tuned for that. I have sort of a double bill to talk about. So the Burbs came out. We talked about it on the last episode that the Burbs was coming out on Blu-ray. This was a collector's edition. Now, the Burbs has been out before on Blu-ray. It came out, I think, in 2016. However, that Blu-ray, it was just the movie, and I think there was the alternate ending included in it as well, and that was it. So Shout Factory put out a collector's edition of the film. They remastered it, so that it's a brand new 2K remaster. So the movie looks absolutely gorgeous. And the reason that I picked it up was because there was a sort of famous, if you're into the Burbs and Joe Dante films, there was a work print version that Joe Dante had that he would very rarely, but there was at least one occasion I know he screened it for audiences. And the work print version of the film was a lot different than the original, than the theatrical one. And on this Blu-ray, they have the full work print version. So,
Okay.
So I watched I've seen the Burbs, the regular theatrical version, a million times. I usually watch it like at least every other year. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I love it. I adore that movie. I have ever since I was a kid. And I'm glad to see that now that movie is sort of getting the recognition that it deserves. I feel like over the last, maybe 5 years, it's sort of developed a cult following. And I was super happy to realize that. But the work print version is really interesting. So it's not, when you watch it, the quality's not great. It's just like I think it's just like a straight transfer. They don't clean it up or anything. The edits are a little wonky. So like sometimes between scenes, it'll just like stay black for like a second. So it's not completely polished, but there's a lot of extended and deleted sequences, like like Kevin, I'm sure you remember the nightmare scene when he's having the nightmare and he's like on the giant grill and all of that stuff towards the beginning of the film. That sequence is extended by like, I don't know, probably like 3 minutes or so. and they added all of this extra stuff to it that ended up getting cut. And one of the big things about the film was that, if you're familiar, Tom Hanks' character he's on vacation from work. He's taken a week off because he's been stressed out at work, and he just needs to relax. He's just way overstressed, so he wants to relax. And the problem is he gets a little stir crazy and starts to spy on the neighbors who he thinks may be murdering people. And in the work print version, the original version of the movie, he actually got fired from his job, and he was hiding it from his wife, who's played by Carrie Fisher. And a lot of the sort of stress and a lot of the paranoia and all of that stuff it stems from him losing his job and hiding it from his family. And
okay.
So this was like this whole other aspect of the movie that they completely cut out because they determined it was a little too dark, that they wanted to keep the movie a little lighter. So they took all of that stuff out. And then, of course, the ending was different. There were multiple endings to this movie. Like, when they started shooting it, they didn't even know how to end it. They were like, they just weren't sure which way they were going to go with it. So in the work print version, it is an alternate ending. Things happen very differently. And so that's interesting too. And then also on the DVD or the Blu-rays, like there's like an all new making of, featurette, interviews. It's packed. If you're a fan of the Burbs, this is like the ultimate one. This is the definitive version, at least for now. So I would definitely recommend picking that one up. I mean, it could be, it's good. It could have more features.
Could be better.
Like for instance, there is a commentary track, but Joe Dante is not on the commentary track. It's the writer. So get Joe Dante in there to do a commentary. There is an extended interview with him on the Blu-ray, so you do get his he is in there. But so after I watched The Burbs, I was like, oh man, I just love Joe Dante movies. I'm such a huge fan of his. I think his filmography is so great, especially his earlier stuff. And so I looked and I was like, which Joe Dante movies have I not seen? And one that came up was Explorers from 1985. This is very much, it's not an Amblin film, but this came out, right when Amblin was pretty big. And, Joe Dante was part of that. Gremlins was an Amblin film. And Explorers definitely has that type of vibe. It stars Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix when they were super young. And it's about these kids. So Ethan Hawke has this weird dream that is like, and it uses that 80s style CG. So everything's like sort of vector, like wireframe, like vector graphics. Yes. And he has this like weird dream that has these like schematics. And as soon as he wakes up, he writes, like he draws it out. And it turns out that River Phoenix, who's like his best friend, is this like computer genius. And he actually creates this thing that he had in his dream. And what this thing is it's sort of a spaceship. It's like this bubble that floats, and you can sort of control it. And so the two of them and one of their other buddies create this pod that the bubble can go around, and they end up like flying everywhere, and then they end up going into space, and then they go into this spaceship and they meet these aliens. And it's not great, but it's pretty fun. Definitely a pretty solid 80s family film. But I might recommend it. Light recommend for Explorers from 1985.
Yeah. That's all I have.
All right. I think that's pretty much all I have. I'll quickly mention Pyewacket. This is the new one from Adam McDonald, who we really liked. He did Backcountry, and we really liked that one. I think we reviewed it on the show back in the day, a couple years ago. And so he's back in the woods, with
him in his woods.
Yeah. So this is it's about a girl who, she's a teen. She's full of angst. She's pissed off at her mom. Their father, her dad died. They end up moving to this remote house in the forest because her mom is really having a hard time dealing with the loss of her husband, and the house just reminds her of him everywhere. And so they go and they move into this house in the woods to get away from it all. But turns out it's in a different school district, so she's like super pissed that she's going to be leaving all of her friends. And since her father died, she got into like witchcraft and occult stuff. So one night after they have a really bad fight, she ends up going out to the forest and doing this like incantation or this spell that supposedly will kill her mom. Ooh. And it goes to some pretty creepy places after that. Gets really creepy.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
But it's I didn't find it quite as effective as Backcountry. However, I did enjoy it. It's a pretty creepy supernatural thriller, so I'd give it a look. It's called Pyewacket. It's on VOD. All right, let's move on and talk about some new releases in theaters this week. We got a bunch actually. There's a lot of stuff coming out this week. A lot of notable things. One is A Quiet Place, directed by Kevin Rakestraw.
That's right.
John Krasinski.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this movie looks dumb as shit.
I'm actually into this movie. I think it looks pretty cool. So
I just don't understand. I saw another trailer, which is another thing about Regal Cinemas, is the one that I go to before a movie. They always play like 10 trailers.
Yeah, for some reason mine had a lot of seemed like more than usual this week with the trailers.
It's just trailer after trailer, and it's only there. No other place, if I go any other movie theater I go to, they don't do this. It's just this one. They always do 10. It's insane. But there was a new one for A Quiet Place, which I didn't understand. Like, why would you give your kid a spaceship that makes a shit ton of noise to have him just like carry around while you're walking through the woods, dumbass?
I'm not sure.
You're bad parents. You're dumb parents. You're stupid. I'm sorry.
I heard good things about it though, so I'll be checking that out. Also, we have Blockers coming out. This is a comedy about some group of parents who discover that their kids are going to be trying to lose their virginity or something on prom night, and they decide to prevent it from happening. Mm-hmm. I'm not really into it. Yeah. I'll probably that's probably like a VOD watch whenever it comes out, you know.
You're going to watch that while you clean.
Yeah. It seems like the perfect cleaning movie. We got Chappaquiddick. This is tells the true story about Ted Kennedy and the car accident that he was involved in that involved the death of a woman that he was having an affair with. Mint reviewed this for us. This premiered at TIFF. Mild interest in this one. Again, not something I would probably need to see in the theater. One that I do want to see in the theater is You Were Never Really Here. This is the Joaquin Phoenix one.
Oh, thank God. I've been hearing about this movie for like 6 fucking
years. This movie has been playing the rounds for a long time.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it's finally coming out. Probably not coming out in your area.
For you.
Yeah.
For you.
It's probably not coming out for you, but I don't know. Maybe it is. Joaquin Phoenix is
You never know.
He's a pretty big actor.
You never know. It's tough to predict what you're going to get around here.
Yeah. The Endless comes out. This is the new Justin Benson, Aaron Moorhead movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
I imagine we'll be reviewing this on the show next week.
I hope so. Yes.
I think that we can safely say that this is something that we're going to be reviewing next week. I saw it at Tribeca last year, so it's been a year for this one. So, we'll talk about that. Lean on Pete comes out. Not actually sure what that's about. Low Life comes out. This is one I mentioned last episode. Sort of Tarantino-esque crime thriller, madcap, crazy, violence-filled action movie.
Oh boy.
Yeah, plays with lots of genres. It's a dirty movie. It's a movie that doesn't necessarily make you feel good, but there's some crazy shit that happens in it, so maybe it's worth a look. Sweet Country comes out. This is a movie that premiered at Sundance this year, I believe. Mint reviewed it for us. It's Australian, I believe. It's like an Australian Western. Not sure about it. The Miracle Season comes out. This is the volleyball movie with Helen Hunt. Ooh, this one looks a little rough. Volleyball movie. Where's Kyra comes out, or is it Kira? Is it Kyra?
I don't know.
I think it's Kyra.
I'll find. I'm gonna say Kyra.
No, this is one that you're pretty excited about.
This has been on how many lists? Like 3 years straight. Most anticipated.
Well, it's finally coming out.
Finally making it happen.
You also have Rogers Park, Spinning Man. Spinning Man. What a horrible title. Are you kidding me?
I love it.
Big Fish and Begonia. And surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly, another Nicolas Cage movie called The Humanity Bureau comes out. I saw a trailer for that. Oh, that one. Cage movies are so funny. You like one of them's good, and then there's like 5 horrible ones.
He's the best. National treasure.
Yeah, he really is. Let's see what we got on VOD this week. We got on the 3rd, Outside In, 420 Massacre, Killing Joan, and Mask, which is a documentary about the guy who created the Tap Out brand.
Oh, give me a break.
Tap Out.
Oh my god. Fucking documentary for everything.
You know that somebody... I like Tap Out because I know that if I see somebody wearing Tap Out clothes, that I know not to talk to them.
It is good that some of those brands exist to just give you a heads up like, hey, we have nothing in common.
Like avoid me.
I feel the same way with what's that? That's kind of like a racing Fox.
Yeah, Fox.
If you see anyone with Fox stuff, it's just like, yeah, we have nothing in common.
Or Affliction. Affliction is another one.
I don't know what that
Affliction,
is.
it's those shirts. Just Google it. It's those shirts that like sort of look. They have that like super elaborate artwork on them that sort of looks.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know how to describe it.
I gotcha.
But they're all horrible. All those shirts are horrible. All those clothes are horrible.
Oh man, this is in my memory now. God damn it.
Affliction.
I'm gonna end up getting targeted ads. Fucking Affliction.
I love every site you go to now. You're gonna just see banner ads for Affliction shirts.
Oh god.
We have on the 6th, Spinning Man comes out. Yes, VOD. Yes. Spinning Man.
I love it. It's such a great title.
Spinning Man. Pierce Brosnan. Mini Driver Guy Pearce. The Humanity Bureau also comes out, and Low Life comes out on VOD Friday. We got on Blu-ray this week. Got Insidious: The Last Key.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that. Is that the 4th one? Yeah, the 4th one. Too many Insidious movies, guys.
There truly is.
Got Father Figures. That was the one with Owen Wilson and...
Oh, God. That movie looks so terrible. Ed Helms.
Was that
Ed Helms in that?
Ed Helms, yeah. Got Sweet Virginia. That's a crime thriller.
Okay.
Ballers, 3rd season. Don't know why I mentioned that because it's a TV show. I just saw Ballers on the cover and I thought maybe it was a movie, but then I noticed that it was The Rock. Like Me comes out. It's a pretty solid thriller. We have a review for that one up. I actually really enjoyed that. Let's see what else we got. Tokyo Ghoul, the movie. It's based on an anime that I actually watched a few episodes of. It's pretty decent, the anime.
Yeah.
I don't know about the live action movie. Usually those anime live action adaptations are pretty shit, but Beast of Burden, that's the one with Daniel Radcliffe. And that's pretty much it. Not a lot going on with Blu-ray coming up this week. What about Criterions? We got any of those?
We have 0.
What's going on? Why is this such a light week?
It's April Fool's, I guess. Easter. I forgot that it's Easter. I guess Easter's the more important thing.
Yeah, probably.
I'm always surprised how many people celebrate Easter. I always forget about it. And then everyone's just like, what are you doing for Easter? And I'm like, people do things for Easter?
I didn't know it was Easter. I literally didn't know it was Easter until 9:30 this morning when I noticed some people. It's funny. I noticed some people on Twitter saying like Happy Easter. And I thought that was like an April Fool's joke. like I was like, oh, you guys are fooling. Like it's not Easter. And then I looked at my calendar. I was like, it's Easter. All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can send us your questions and topics to feedback@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. If you have a minute, take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/FilmPulse. Consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.